Howdy, folks. I'm horrifying Honey Island swamp monster, heinously hurting harvested hay.
I'm Amber.
And here's more harvested hay for us to hurt. I don't know how we're doing it. Maybe we're lighting it on fire. That would make sense. How do you find a needle in a haystack? You light it on fire. And then you use a magnet. So let's get started. Alright, folks. And our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Never Sending a New Text and Always Editing My Last One? So apparently this is quote-unquote psychotic behavior. But I genuinely don't see the problem. I hate sending multiple texts, so instead of adding a new one, I just edit the last message that I sent. Like, if I text leaving now, and then I remember that I forgot my wallet, I'll just edit and say that I'm leaving in 5. Clean, efficient, and no spam. Except now people are mad because they don't get notified when I edit. My friends miss plans, and my wife thinks that I've been abducted when I change here to running late. And my boss calls it gaslit by iMessenger. I just think that it looks neater than sending ignore that or actually. They say that it's confusing and that I'm rewriting history. Am I the jerk for wanting my messages to look clean in one forever text message instead of blowing up the chat like an unhinged telegraph operator? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you are absolutely the jerk. Your messages are not working as intended because you only get like a notification when someone writes a new message, not when they edit it. And so you are confusing everyone by just editing your messages instead of sending a new message that notifies them of what the change in plans is.
Yeah, so the thing is this. Our OP's already been told that people don't like this, and they continue to do it. Then that means that you're not communicating effectively anymore, right? And communicating effectively requires all parties to, engage in certain rules. And maybe instead of like sending out a message and then editing it later, you can think carefully about what you want to say and then send it, right?
Right. And I mean, sometimes your plans will change and you're just going to have to send an extra text.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that, OP sounds like they have a very unique way of managing their messages, one that I've never heard before. But it also sounds like maybe OP is trying to rewrite history and make people think that it's acceptable. Like, so maybe they're like, oh, no. I mean, if they've lied about it in the past, like, oh, no, I didn't do anything. I didn't edit that message or something like that, right?
Well, that too, like, that you bring up a good point, is like, what if they are using this as an excuse to rewrite history? Like but see, my text messages says this, so you're just misremembering things or whatnot. Like it's just all around bad news.
Yeah, I don't know how iMessenger works, so maybe you can actually see the edits or something like that, but I don't know. I think that this seems like a really peculiar way of doing things, and that OP should just, if there are people who don't like it, then OP should accommodate them and send additional messages.
Well, I know it would drive me up a wall, if I always was like thinking that I had gotten a message saying one thing and then you're home like 20 minutes later than expected and you're like, oh yeah, no, I edited my message. You should have gotten that.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. Future villain origin story.
I mean, it could be.
It kind of fits. It's not the future villain origin story, though. It's his current origin story. And Casual Lore says, yes, you're the jerk. Sorry. Expecting people to constantly check their phone because they never know when you might edit your text is a lot to ask, especially if your plans change. It's inconsiderate of you. I get that it feels weird if you do a multi-text, but that's just how it's done. Also, it is rewriting history. A lot of people use text as their primary way of communication. And if you are constantly editing your messages, you're subverting the very thing that they use to establish context. And Purple Shallot 3731 says, if I were the boss of someone that was constantly altering a paper trail of communication, I would seriously reconsider keeping them employed. And Frosty Business 6042 says, you're the jerk. Several people have told you that it interferes with them getting your communications. Just stop. And Alarmed Anybody 425 says, you're the jerk. Send a new text. Stop being lazy. And I mean, I do actually kind of want to spring off of one of the comments, I think like the first one. basically what OP is expecting everyone to do is to go and check their messages with them with OP constantly, right?
Right. Well, that's the only way you'd be able to know is if you're
Yeah.
constantly checking sent messages.
Yeah. Which is a little bit of an unfair expectation because
Mm-hmm.
think about if everyone did that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you would have to go through your phone and reread every single message just to make sure that the person that you're texting hasn't changed their plans or
It
any number of things,
puts a
right?
huge burden on the recipient just
Mm-hmm.
for OP's convenience of having a neater looking inbox.
Yeah. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Letting a Kid Eat My Food? The other day, I was at the mall with my boyfriend and our two kids, a 5-year-old female and a 6-year-old male. And we were sitting and eating a bag of roasted chestnuts when this kid, around 10 years old, started hovering around us. Now I admit that I'm not the biggest fan of any kid that doesn't belong to me. So this was already annoying me slightly, but I still smiled at him. Then he calls my son over and whispers in his ear, and I knew it was about the chestnuts. My son nods, yes, and the boy comes up to me and reaches for a chestnut. I move my bag and I say, no, you have to ask your parents. My boyfriend got upset and called me rude and handed a chestnut to the boy. The boy leaves, and I tell my boyfriend that he shouldn't have done that you just don't give food to a strange kid. The boy then hovers back around us without a word and snatches 2 chestnuts from the bag that my boyfriend was now holding. I stand up and I say very firmly, sorry, but you can't take our stuff like that. Go and talk to your parents. He then put them back and ran off. I think the kid had no manners, and I wasn't going to let my kids think that it was okay to accept anything from strangers, or that it's okay to be pressured into sharing. My boyfriend doesn't agree and thinks that the kid trusted us because we have kids ourselves. He thinks that I was just selfish. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And it seems like a very dangerous thing to give something like chestnuts
Oh,
to
yeah.
a kid you don't know. Like, you never know what kind of food allergies or intolerances they have.
Yeah. Well, that's my biggest problem here is that they could have sent this kid into anaphylactic shock, right? Like maybe the kid likes nuts, and their parents refuse to get them for them, and so they go behind their backs and find nuts and stuff like that, right, and eat them, and that can put the kid's life at risk. And this is a really dangerous situation. You don't feed kids, and maybe that you don't know, and maybe an exception to this is like if there's an extenuating circumstance where the kid is clearly like malnourished or something like that and like they need immediate nutrition and immediate like aid, then you maybe help them and call the police, right?
Yeah, well, but you also still want to find a more neutral food than
Yeah,
chestnuts.
like a sandwich or something like that, right? And yeah, it just seems like a really poor idea to do something like this. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And you know I'm right, 25 says, not a jerk, and your boyfriend could have killed the kid. How does your boyfriend know that the kid is not allergic to nuts? Absolutely never give food to kids without talking to the parents first. And Soap Sud says, not the jerk. Definitely, that's just basic common sense. You never know what allergies a kid might have. And Camille Kiss says, yep, it's not being overprotective, it's just responsible. One can't assume that every kid can safely eat the same thing. And Alternative P, 6203 says, yep, quote, my mom doesn't let me have Snicker bars because they're unhealthy. Oh no, you poor oppressed kid. Here you go, have this lovely Snickers bar and enjoy it. Does anyone have an EpiPen? Exactly. And for Vera, Devensky says, not a jerk, especially since it was nuts. Reckless of your boyfriend. And OP replies, I told him that, and he said that he didn't think about that, but that I was still too harsh to tell him to go away. And OK Relation 2760 says, you're absolutely in the right. Lots of kids have allergies, and he may have been allergic to chestnuts. The authorities could have gotten involved, or you could even have been sued. However, most importantly, you don't know his dietary habits and allergies, and that's why it was the right decision to say, please go ask your parents. I live with and am fairly close to a child in that age group, and I still tell her every time that she wants food that it's up to her mother. It's just safer that way, not to mention common courtesy to the parents. Have your partner Google lawsuits which have occurred because somebody made assumptions which proved to be dead wrong. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Being a Dumb Man. Here to be judged, I suppose. So this one hurts. So about 6 months ago, I finished going through a divorce. I probably jumped into the dating pool way too soon, but I waited about 3 or 4 months to do it, and lots of failed dates, but that's okay. But I met this one woman, and she and I clicked instantly. We've been seeing each other for the last 3 months, only seeing each other 1 or 2 times a week. Maybe because she does work weekends, and I work during the week, and she also has a kid. Never dated anyone with a kid, don't even have any of my own. I fell for this woman, and it was so easy and effortless to see a life with what she already had. She told me things that were the opposite of my ex-wife, and this made me feel like maybe I was a decent human. Well, we called multiple times a week, and I've met her daughter, and we got along really well. I really, really liked her so much. So here's where my mess up happened. Last night, I got a call and a text from a good friend of mine, and she was basically in a domestic violence situation. I called and I asked her 2 questions. Are you hurt? To which she replied a little, and are you safe? Which she responded no. This was at like 3 a.m., so I jumped out of bed, I live alone, and I drove 20 minutes to essentially go and rescue this friend of mine. We got out of there, and she was safe for the night. So this morning, when this girl that I really liked asked how my night was and how I slept, I told her that it was pretty stressful, and I openly told her everything about what had happened. Well, after many, many long texts back and forth, she told me that she no longer wanted to continue seeing me, and she has blocked me on all social media. And now I'm immobilized and upset on the couch, and this is heartbreak all over again. All right, folks, what do you think?
I don't think this is a mess up, OP.
Yeah.
I think you learned some very important information about this woman, that she is not the right person for you.
Yeah.
Anyone who would be upset that you were helping a friend get out of a domestic violence situation is not someone you should be in a relationship with. Like, you were helping make sure that someone was able to be safe. And that is important.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest thing here, is that the OP was doing something noble here. Now, if he had ulterior motives with this other person, I could understand that, right? But that doesn't seem like that's the case at all. It seems like OP is just genuinely a good individual who is trying to do a good thing. And that kind of goes to show that sometimes no good deed goes unpunished, right? But I think that really what we have here is that OP has very valuable information. This woman isn't someone who he wants to date. Like, while OP was in love with her right now, it's the honeymoon phase, right? And everything's supposed to be going really well for the very early part of the relationship, right? And if it isn't, that's a bad sign. And this right here is kind of a revelation of her true character, right? She seems to be a jealous person who's going to, try to frame every interaction that OP makes as maybe a, pass at another woman, right? And I think that that she did OP a tremendous favor here by revealing that character flaw right now. So I don't think that OP lost out on anything. While he likes her a lot right now, wait for 2 years, and I don't think that this would be quite the same situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up by Following My Coworker's Location to a Restaurant and Crashing Her Date. Well, we have a small group at work that's pretty close, and we all use the Bump app to see who's around, and it's mostly for fun, like checking who's grabbing coffee or who's still stuck at the office, and it became a small habit, and everyone in the group keeps on it, so we can meet up after work sometimes. Well, there's this new girl who joined about 2 months ago, and she's super easy to talk to, funny, always nice to me, and we started texting a bit outside of work, and I started to think that maybe she liked me too. I know that it's dangerous thinking that, but she's always friendly and kept the conversation going, so I convinced myself that there was a spark. Well, last night I saw on the Bump app that she was at a restaurant not far from my place, and my brain short-circuited and thought that, hey, maybe I could just walk by and say hi and maybe grab a quick bite if she's alone. It sounded harmless in my head, so I did it, and I went there and I walked inside and I looked around and I saw her sitting across from this guy, and they were laughing and sharing food and clearly on a date. And I froze like a deer in headlights, and then I did a full 180 out the door. Well, the worst part is that she saw me, and I know she saw me, and our eyes met for half a second, and I could literally feel my soul leave my body. I spent the rest of the night pretending that it didn't happen, but I barely slept this morning, and I opened the Bump app, and she was gone. Maybe she turned on ghost mode, and maybe she doesn't want me to see her location anymore. Either way, I deserve that. It's totally my fault. I read too much into the friendly energy, and I acted on impulse instead of common sense. I've been cringing at myself all day, and I don't think that I'll ever look at the app again without feeling secondhand embarrassment for my own stupidity. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, OP, I think this is a very valuable lesson for you. If you are interested in someone, like, talk to them.
Yeah.
Do not follow them around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that OP meant this in a harmful way. That, good intentions, bad intentions, whatever, this was an inappropriate thing to do. And I think that OP learned a valuable lesson and hopefully doesn't repeat this. And, it sounds like they're truly remorseful about this and understand, oh, I really messed up in this situation. And I do think that they learned something out of this. And because it's not like they're like, oh, I came in there and then it's like, hey, babe, what's up? What are you doing with this guy? And then sat at their table or something like that, right? I think they realized that they went too far, that this wasn't an appropriate thing. And sometimes these cringy moments are what people need to grow and mature, right? So I think that maybe while it's bad, it's a good lesson, and it's something that OP is sharing here, and hopefully other people also can embody this lesson or learn from this lesson.
Yeah, because this is stalkery type behavior.
Yeah.
Like, she did willingly share her location with the group, but this
Yeah.
was not the intention.
Yeah, and that's the problem. So I think again, OP, and that's I think that some of the risk of having these apps and stuff like that, and sharing locations and stuff. And I would never share my location with any of my coworkers. I mean, not that I'm worried about being stalked by any of my coworkers, but it just feels like such an invasion of privacy.
Well, that's it. Like, you need to have some kind of work-life separation, and even if you're besties with your coworkers, you may not want them to know your location at all times.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the shark munch on the submersible?
Well, the shark munched on the submersible. Now you have me doing it too. The submersible because they thought that it was like chips.
They were hungry and wanted a sub.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense than my answer. I was thinking computer chips in the sub, and I don't know, like a bag of chips opening it, but that just doesn't make any sense.
And it's National Sandwich Day.
Ooh.
And also Jellyfish Day.
Ah, don't make a sandwich with a jellyfish.
Yeah.
Unless you're SpongeBob and you're doing the jellyfish jelly sandwiches. Yeah, you can do that. And I have Mega Mint. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday, folks. I hope your Monday is off to a great start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it on helping someone in need.
The way someone reacts to how you help people can tell you a lot about their character.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.